In the name of God, this is session 9 of your syntax lesson. As I told you in the previous session, we talked about the case system. We have two, main case system. Nominative case and accusative case. And as I told you, the nominative case, assigned to the subject position, and we can assign an accusative case to the object position. We have two kind of case assigners. The verb and the preposition are two kind of case assigners. So after the transitive verb and after the preposition, we should have a kind of accusative case. So this is about the case system. Again, we have another kind of case which we call it a genitive case in English, but the nominative case and the accusative case are more important. And then we talk about the inherent case and structural case and the differences between them. And this is the definition of the case system, which I talked about it in the previous session. So again, in this session we continue this term, the case system. Okay, there are a kind of exceptionality in the case marking. We call it exceptional case marking, or ECM. Okay, exceptional case marking. Exceptional case marking continuing the examination of subjects of infinitives in English. For example, look at this example. John believes him to be a liar. You see here, according to the case filter, every overt NPs should have a case. So we have a kind of here NPs, for example, John, him, so they should have a kind of case system. Okay, so according to the tree diagram, you look at the tree diagram of this sentence. John believes him to be a liar. So the situation in which a verb like believe here can govern into an IP and assign case to its subject NP is often referred to as exceptional case marking, abbreviated as ECM. So here, as you see here in this tree diagram, believe is a kind of case assigner, so it governs the NP inside IP, the subject of the subordinate clause, and gives it a kind of accusative case. So we can say John believes him to be a liar. So John believes him to be a liar. To be a liar is a kind of subordinate clause, and him is the subject of the subordinate clause. But the verb before it here, believe, can governs it, the subject of the subordinate clause, and assign a kind of accusative case to it. So we can say John believes him to be a liar. We call this kind of case assigning as a kind of exceptional case assigning, or ECM, the abbreviation ECM. So this is a kind of exceptional case assigning which we use in the infinitive clauses in English. You see here, this is a kind of infinitive clause, him to be a liar. So the verb believes can govern the him, the subject of the subordinate clause, and can gives it a kind of accusative case. So we can say John believes him to be a liar, and you see here in the tree diagram this kind of governing. So we call it ECM, or exceptional case marking. The other kind of case marking is in the small clauses. We talked about the small clauses in the previous sessions. Look at the example. Margaret considers the taxi driver entirely innocent. You see here, we see here a kind of clause, the taxi driver entirely innocent, but it doesn't have a kind of verb. We call it a small clause. This is the NP, this is the adjective phrase. It consists of two parts, NP, adjective phrase. So we call it a small clause. Again, look at the tree diagram of this sentence. Margaret consider the taxi driver entirely innocent. We use, instead of a small clause, agreement phrase. We talk about it in the previous sessions. Agreement phrase. So it consists of a kind of subject, the taxi driver, you see here, and it consists of a kind of agreement phrase which is a kind of adjective phrase here, entirely innocent, you see here. So this is the small clause. Again, according to the case filter, we say that every overt NP should have a kind of case. So what is the case of the taxi driver? The NP here as the subject of the small clause. Again, let us say that, like non-finite I, small clause agreement is too weak to case mark its subject. So we propose that in the previous example, it is the verb consider which case mark the subject of the small clause. Witness the fact that if we replace the small clause subject by a pronoun, it will have the accusative form. So again, look at it. So because the head of the agreement is too weak to assign case to the subject, so again the verb before it, consider here, can assign case to the NP, like the exceptional case marking in the previous example. So this is because if we want to use a pronoun instead of this NP, we should use a kind of accusative pronoun. Okay, for example, we can say that Margaret considers him entirely innocent. You see here, if we want to use a pronoun, we should use a kind of accusative pronoun, him, because the verb before this NP can assign a kind of accusative case to the NP. So again, like infinitive clauses, like exceptional case marking, the verb before the noun can assign the case to the subject of the small clauses, because the head of the small clause is too weak to assign a case to the NP. So this is the position of the case assigning in the small clauses. So if we in this example consider can case mark the subject of the small clause, this implies that the small clause agreement phrase also is not a barrier for an outside governor. So you see here, the agreement phrase is not a barrier for the governing. So verb can govern the NP and assign accusative case to the subject of the small clause. This is the conclusion about the small clauses. So, and the last part in this on these slides is about the adjectives and nouns. As I told you, we have just two kind of case assigner, the verb and the preposition. So the adjectives and nouns are not case assigners in English. We have just two kind of case assigner in English, verb, preposition, not adjective and not noun. So look at the examples here. As I told you, nouns and adjectives are not case assigners in English. So look at this example. Poirot envies Miss Marple. This is okay because we have a kind of verb which can assign case to the NPs, and that's okay. But look at another example. Poirot is envious Miss Marple. This is a kind of adjective, not verb, because adjective is not a case assigner in English. So this sentence is ungrammatical. Look at this asterisk, star. So this is ungrammatical because the NPs here cannot have a kind of case, because this is adjective and the adjectives in English is not case assigner. So look at another example. Poirot is envious of Miss Marple. We add here a kind of preposition. As I told you, preposition, again, like verb, is a kind of case assigner. So this is, the addition of this, preposition solve the problem, and this is okay. This sentence is okay because we add a kind of preposition which is case assigner in English language. Look at another example. Poirot's envy Miss Marple. Again, you see here we have a kind of noun here. And as I told you, noun, like adjective, is not a case assigner in English. So if we have a kind of noun here, our NP, doesn't have case. So this sentence is ungrammatical. But again, if we add a kind of preposition like of here, Poirot's envy of Miss Marple, our sentence be correct because we add a kind of case assigner preposition here of, so it can assign case to the NP, and this is okay, and our sentence be a kind of correct sentence, and it's not ungrammatical. So again, we can conclude that nouns and adjectives are not case assigner in English, and in English we have just two kind of case assigner, the verb and the preposition. So Chomsky distinguishes two types of case assignment. As I told you, a structural case assignment, which depends solely on government, a configurational property, and inherent case assignment. So we have two kinds of case assigning: a structural case assigning and inherent case assignment, which is dependent on two conditions: theta role assignment and government. So we have two kind of case assigning: a structural case assignment and inherent case assignment. This is the definition of inherent case condition. You see here, if A is an inherent case assigner, then A assigns case to an NP if and only if A theta marks the NP. As I told you, we should have two kind of condition in inherent case assignment: theta role assignment, and government. You see here, this is inherent case condition. So in this part, again, we talk about the structural case assigning. First, we talk about the exceptional case assigning, as I told you. Then we talk about the small clauses, which I told you the head of the small clause is too weak to assign a case, so the verb before the subject can assign it the kind of accusative case. Then at last we talk about the adjectives and nouns, and as I told you, nouns and adjective are not case assigner in English. So in these sentences we add a kind of preposition here of to assigning a kind of case to the NP beside this preposition. So this is again about the case assigning system. We have a kind of condition in case assignment. This is the condition of adjacency. This is the it means that the case assigner should be near the NP. Okay. For example, look at this example, and we can see this kind of condition, the adjacency. Poirot speaks English fluently. You see here, the verb speaks is near English noun, so it's okay, can assign a case to the English, and our sentence is correct, and there is no problem. Okay, you see here. Look at the second example. Poirot speaks fluently English. You see here, we have a kind of verb here, but our sentence is ungrammatical. Why? Because fluently, the adverb fluently is between the speaks, the verb, and the English NP. This is the case assigner verb, and this is the NP, which should have a kind of case, but fluently is between these two parts. So this condition here doesn't here. So you should see here there is no adjacency between the case assigner and the MP. So this sentence is ungrammatical. Again, look at this example. Poirot sincerely believes English to be important. You see here there is a kind of verb, believes, which is near the English, okay, the MP. So it can assign, a case to the MP, and there is no problem. So our sentence is correct. But look at another example. Poirot believes sincerely English to be important. Again here, this is the verb and this is our MP English. Sincerely, the adverb is between the verb and the MP. So there is no adjacency condition here. So our sentence becomes ungrammatical because there is, there is another element sincerely here between the case assigner, the verb believes, and the MP English. So the verbs cannot assign, case to the MP. So our sentence is ungrammatical, as you see here. Again, look at another example. Poirot believes sincerely that English is important. This sentence is correct because we see here the verb, and this is the adverb sincerely, and this is the MP English. But because it's a kind of finite sentence, in these two examples we have a kind of non-finite sentence which cannot assign case to the MP. So the verbs before it can assign case. But in the last example we have a kind of finite sentence. So there is a kind of agreement between the subject and the verb to be. So this verb to be can assign case to the subject. So it doesn't need the verb, the before verb, the believes. So it can assign inside the sentence, the subordinate sentence. So this is correct and there is no problem. So again, as I told you, we have a kind of condition, adjacency in case assignment. It means that the case assigner here, the verb, should be near the MP. Okay, so if there is another element like this adverb here between the verb and the MP, so the verb cannot assign case to the MP, and our sentence becomes ungrammatical, as you see here in these examples. So it is a condition in the case assignment system. So this is you see here in these examples. Okay, again in this session we talk about the structural case system and inherent case system and the conditions in these two kind of systems. We talked about the exceptional case marking, we talked about the small clauses, and at last we talk about this condition, adjacency condition in case assigning. And I think that's enough for today, and thank you for your attention. Goodbye everybody.